Hey everyone, Dr. Rick with another Dr. Rick and Relate Well moment. I hope you are having a most wonderful day. And for those of you who can see me on video, yes, you knew that I'm a proud Navy veteran and I love military history. And you're seeing behind me my bookshelves. And yes, there's a lot of stuff back there from Civil War, Revolutionary War, World War I, World War II history. Yep. And then around me is a bunch of other stuff. It's my vice, if you will. It's what I do. It's what I enjoy. I'm a collector. All right, let's get into the meat of the session for today. 6 essentials for mature love. 6 essentials to mature love, to love maturely. I call it a guide to thriving in relationships, parenting, and the workplace. Now, here's what I did, folks. I wanted to see what would artificial intelligence come up with. I had written down a bunch of things in my mind about what I thought essentials were. And then I put the question to artificial intelligence. I've always said that I have artificial intelligence. I may be stupid. See, that's artificial intelligence, right? Not as bright as I think I am. Artificial intelligence. I act like I'm smart, but not really. All right, enough of the silliness. And interesting, artificial intelligence had some of the things that were on my list. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a look at 6 essentials. Yeah, there could be more as well. So I'm not saying that my 6 are the 6. Got the difference? But we're going to just take a look at them briefly and then how they apply in some different areas. All right. I wrote here, the more profound and enduring forms of love are often overlooked in a world that glorifies romance, charisma, and fleeting passion. Yet mature love, which is grounded, it's responsible, and emotionally intelligent and mature, forms the bedrock of lasting relationships, resilient parenting, and healthy work environments. And this here today podcast is going to explore these 6 things, define them, and then give you a briefly what would it look like in these different areas of your life. So let's take a look at number 1. First essential, and by the way, these are not in priority order, all right? They're just 6 things. Number 1 is healthy relationships, mature love. People have emotional responsibility. They take responsibility for their own feelings. They take responsibility for their own reactions. They take responsibility for their triggers rather than blaming others, projecting on others, or rationalizing them away through some form of defense mechanism. Emotional responsibility is the ability to recognize our inner world and manage that world constructively. So then, what does a emotional responsibility look like in love? Here's a thought. A partner who feels neglected communicates their need for connection without accusing. Quote, I've been feeling distance lately and would love to spend more time with you. Rather, you don't care about me. You don't care about me. You're doing what you're doing, and I'm not important to you. Irresponsible. Emotional responsibility in parenting is like a parent who's frustrated after a long day at work might say something like, I'm feeling overwhelmed right now and I need a moment to breathe, instead of lashing out at the kids. At work, an employee who receives criticism responds with, thank you for the feedback. I'll reflect on how I can improve, instead of becoming defensive. I remember when I was a young buck in the Navy, 19 years old. I turned 19 when I was in basic training, so I'm still pretty immature back in those days. I remember my commander, 05, called me into his office and he shared with me some issues about my military bearing. And my first reaction was to get defensive, but then I caught my trigger of defensiveness because I knew it wouldn't be good of a sailor to do that. And he said, well, Seaman Marks, what are your thoughts? And I said, well, sir, I don't like hearing what you're saying. I said, may I consider it and get back with you? He said, yes. And I pondered it for a couple of hours, realized he was right. And I went back. I said, he was a chaplain. I said, Chaplain Rogers, I said, you're right. And thank you for pointing it out to me. And I want to be a better sailor. I want to be a 4.0 sailor. And I learned from it. You see, at work is you take responsibility for your own emotional choices and reactions. What are the positive effects of emotional responsibility? Emotional responsibility fosters accountability. clarity, and constructive communication. And it promotes trust and growth. When emotional responsibility is absent, you'll move to blaming, you'll move to denying, you'll emotionally project your issues onto someone else. You may become resentful in love. It may lead to fear in parenting and can create toxic work cultures. So one of the 6 is emotional responsibility. Now let's take a look at number 2, healthy boundaries. You've heard about boundaries, Cloud and Townsend have that great book called Boundaries, and it's a very good book. Boundaries are essential to healthy relationships. It's based out of systems theory, which is the core theory by which marriage therapy operates. Healthy boundaries, what are they? Definition: healthy boundaries are the emotional, physical, and mental limits we set to protect our well-being while respecting the well-being of others. Now, what do healthy boundaries look like in love? One partner might say something like, I need time with my friends on weekends, but I'll also set aside quality time for us. In parenting, a parent teaches a child about consent by encouraging them to say no to unwanted hugs or even from relatives they don't like or feel uncomfortable around. Boundaries at work. An employee sets boundaries by declining work emails after hours to preserve family time. That was not me in my early days. It is much more me today. What are the positive effects of living by healthy boundaries? Boundaries nurture mutual respect, they reduce burnout, and they affirm personal autonomy. I know where I stop and you begin. When boundaries are absent, you can feel overwhelmed. Resentment can build. Bitterness can rebuild. You lose a loss. There's a loss of identity, all right, that can happen, particularly in love relationships. There could be confusion and entitlement can develop in parenting. And at work, you might become a micromanager, or you might overwork people or yourself, all right? So secondly, essential to healthy relationships, mature love, is boundaries. Number 3 of the 6 essentials is mutual respect. Not just respect of one, both of you. Is mutual respect. Let's define it. Mutual respect is recognizing and appreciating each other's inherent worth, opinions, and differences. See, everyone, because they exist as a human, has dignity. All humans have dignity. And you never, ever, ever disrespect a person's dignity as a person. It's mutual respect. Now, what does mutual respect look like in love? Partners can listen actively during disagreements and avoid personal attacks, such as, I see your point, even if I do see it differently. Mutual respect. I see your point. I understand your perspective. I may differ, but that's okay too. In parenting, mutual respects could look like this. A parent respects their child's perspective by asking their children for their opinion. All right. What are your thoughts? What would you like to see? How would you like to do family vacation? If you don't want to do trash on these at this time, what would you like? Get their perspective of something. At work, mutual respect builds psychological safety. It increases collaboration and relational equity. We all are teams. We're all part of a team, and we're all equal. As a Christian, I believe it to be true. At the cross, we're all equal. We're all sinners or not. And so I just like to make things that simple. At work, it creates relational equity. Now, when mutual respect is present, you have strong, healthy relationships because mutual respect creates healthy relationships. But when it's absent, disrespect can lead to power struggles in relationships, defiance in children, and it can lead to low morale in the workplace. Number 4, healthy relationships, mature love. What's another essential? You both are committed to growth, not just intellectually, but emotionally and spiritually as well. What do I mean by commitment to growth here? I mean by that this is a shared willingness to evolve, learn, and improve both individually and together as an us. That we both grow individually, but also our us grows, our us deepens, right? So if there's a commitment to growth, what does that look like in love relationships? Here we go. Couples attend therapy. They read relationship books. They reflect on past conflicts to improve communication. In parenting, commitment to growth means that parents will adjust their discipline strategies as their children mature and change over time. If you are spanking a 15-year-old, you got problems. You should have been parenting better all along so that by the time they hit their teens, you're parenting by just your words. Boy, you might want to calm down and look at you like, oh, okay. All right. That's about growth. What does commitment to growth look like in the workplace? Well, in the workplace, teams will embrace feedback. They invest in professional development and they adapt to change. Flexibility is a good thing. All right. Learning to grow. You ever notice that learning something new can be uncomfortable, and yet with a commitment to growth, you're willing to embrace the uncomfortableness of learning. You might have to undo something you've always believed was to be true. You might go, wow, I didn't have enough information, right? What are the positive effects of a commitment to growth? Continuous growth leads to adaptability. It leads to resilience and a deepened connection. And when it's absent, stagnation occurs in love. Children could be parented rigidly or with no rules at all. And innovation dies in organizations and in businesses when there's not a commitment to growth. Number five of the 6 essentials. Here we go. Emotional intimacy and vulnerability. That loving, mature relationships are emotionally intimate in their vulnerability, because you cannot be emotionally intimate without vulnerability. My mentor, Dr. Gordon, called it emotional openness. Emotional intimacy is the closeness achieved through shared honesty, openness, and trust. Vulnerability is the courage to be seen in your truth. I'm going to read that again. Emotional intimacy is the closeness achieved through shared honesty, openness, and trust. Vulnerability is the courage to be seen in your truth. In love, what does this look like? A partner confesses fear about a job loss, trusting the other will hold that space without judgment. In parenting, a parent might say, I made a mistake, I'm sorry, modeling authenticity and humility to their children, admitting you've made a mistake. At work, a manager admits to a missed deadline and asks for support, cultivating a culture of honesty. And when emotional intimacy and vulnerability are present, the positive effects for that are it fosters trust, because vulnerability fosters trust. It creates connection and psychological and emotional safety. When those are absent, it creates distance, mistrust. There's a pretense develops in love. Children are afraid of being judged and criticized. And what happens in teams, the members start to conceal and hide problems from the leader. Number 6 of the 6 essentials: shared vision and values. That's right. To love maturely, you'd have to have shared vision and values. A shared vision is a mutual understanding of the goals, purpose, and principles that guide a relationship or community. In love, couples agree on how to raise children or manage their finances. In parenting, shared vision and values looks like families creating rituals or mission statements that reflect those values that they have as a family. At work, organizations align hiring and culture around core values such as integrity, collaboration, or service. In our world of Relate Well, we believe HREG. H equals REG. Humility equals respect, empathy, and goodwill. We believe HREG is essential for a strong, healthy, mature, caring culture at home and at work. Because to live a life of humility, respect, empathy, and goodwill requires emotional maturity to live that way as a way of being. And now, when shared vision and values are present, then you have unity. It creates direction and fulfillment in life. And when it's absent, there's going to be a misalignment, which can create confusion, can create conflict. And folks, there can be disintegration of purpose and goals. Okay, there you go. There's the 6. I believe that mature love is not reserved for romantic fairy tales. It is a daily practice transforming how we connect with ourselves and others. Whether in marriage, parenting, or leadership, these 6 essentials form the blueprint for a life of meaningful connection and integrity. In embracing these 6, we don't just improve our relationships, we elevate the culture, the relationships, the individuality of every space that we inhabit. Because at its core, folks, mature love is about who we love and how we love. It's Dr. Rick. Have a great day.